Looking for an accent wall that won't break the bank? It's a faux shiplap wall. Coming right up. I'm Jenny with Roots and Wings Furniture, and it is time to do a room makeover for my daughter. And I was thinking about her room, trying to figure out what I wanted the main accent wall to be. Well, I know Joanna has done it up and down Pinterest and all over the internet, but I hadn't done a shiplap wall yet, so that's where I started with her room. You'll also see the mirror that we worked on a couple of weeks ago using the faux staining technique. You can check out that video here. But the wall has really become the focal centerpiece to her room, and it is easier and less expensive than you might think. Let me show you how to do it. Head to your favorite lumberyard or hardware store and find some Luan. This is 1/4 inch Luan. They came in sheets that were 4x8, and they were about $24 a sheet. We used on this one wall about 2.5 sheets worth of plywood, just so you know for reference, and I had them cut it down into 6-inch strips. Now, you have to ask really nicely because sometimes they will not love it if you ask them to cut a 4x8 sheet into 6-inch strips, but this gentleman here was very kind to do it. Also, depending on how friendly they are, depends on if they're going to charge you for these cuts or not. So keep that in mind in your budget as you are asking them to cut down so many sheets. I just thought that it would be way easier for them to do it than me to have to cut all of these down at home. Once I got them all home, I did want to just sand the edges. I pulled out my pad sander and sanded the edges down just to get off any splinters or anything that was left over from the saw. Use your gloves here so you don't get splinters in your fingers, and I actually found that you could do 2 boards at a time. I just smoothed off the edges really quick. This was quite messy, but it really makes a difference in the final product. And then all you do is bring it in to your room and start putting it up. I am using my Airstrike. This is my favorite nail gun ever with brad nails, and that is how you put it up against the wall. Now, of course, this first piece I put up, I had to cut a little bit around the air return there, so I did that just with a jigsaw back out in the workshop. The nice thing about these boards too is, yes, we are going to vary length, so we don't have any seams that line up, but it's not quite like the barnwood wall. We just really want to cover this with as few seams as we can. So use those long boards and then fill in the gaps where you see fit. I did not use any glue on the back of these. The brad nails were just fine and perfectly capable of holding these boards to the wall. They're really lightweight, so I wasn't worried about that. And I just spaced them out with a nickel. I just had a nickel running along. That was the gap between each board, and it worked perfect. Before I started putting these up, I also did give the wall 1 coat of white paint, just so that what shows in the gaps is white, just like the wall will be. Then take some spackle on your finger and go over any of the nail holes. If you want a more rustic look, you don't have to do this, but it gave a nice finishing touch. Just a tiny bit of spackle on there. Let it dry. It dries super quick, and then just run over it with a bit of sandpaper. I think I used 120 grit sandpaper. Just took a few minutes to smooth it out, and like I say, this really helps give a nice finished look. Okay, once that's all done, you're ready to paint. I chose to use a paint and primer mixed in one, and it worked great. So there was no need to use a separate coat of primer, and I just used pure white semi-gloss paint straight off the shelf. I put it on a small roller and just rolled it on. The first coat takes a little bit more paint, especially as it's soaking into the raw wood, but immediately you're getting the effect of the shiplap, and I think it looks fantastic. I liked using the semi-gloss on this too because it does give the wall a little bit of shine at the end. It just makes it a little bit different than the rest of the walls in her room. But if you wanted a little bit more of a farmhouse look, you could use a flatter paint. It's really completely up to you. I just grabbed my brush then and went over the edges and the top and bottom. I did not take the brush along all of the seams. I didn't feel like that was necessary, but you definitely could if you wanted to. And then this is the second coat of paint, and the second coat is really what makes the magic happen. All of a sudden it gets that pure white and goes on nice and smooth. I also used quarter round on the edges of this wall where it meets the drywall. I just thought that was a nice finishing touch, just to finish it up. But you wouldn't have to, again, if you didn't want to. And just like that, you have created a statement wall that is so easy to do. This took about 2 days. It was over the course of 2 days. The first day we put up the wall, and the second day it was painted. But really, it's a quick and easy project, and I hope you enjoy the way it came out. If you want to see another option for an accent wall, check out my barnwood video tutorial here. You can see how the same kind of idea takes on a whole new look in a different room. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and we will see you next time.